Hello and welcome to the Hold the Line Sports Betting Podcast, where we do the work so you don't have to. Today marks episode 4 and our first official episode at our new headquarters, 408 Asgard Studios. This intro is going to be a little different today, guys, if you don't mind. So, a little backstory here. My 3 comrades and I are not only very close friends, but we're also co-workers until today. As of this morning, we have been terminated by our company for filming this podcast. For any of you wondering, no, we are not monetized. We make no money doing this. It is merely for the love of the game. We aren't going to make this a sob story or a feel-bad type of scenario. I want you to smile for us. For now, we see this company for who they really are. We worked for bad people who looked for an opportunity to get rid of us when they had the chance. And a stronger bond has been built because of it. I want to take this time to be grateful. Thank you guys for working your butts off for me, no matter what we went up against. I am forever grateful. Thank you to my family and my girlfriend who had my back and comforted me when I was down. Thank you for believing in me. And lastly, thank you to our former company who helped forge a brotherhood that can never be broken. Stay close to those who believe in you. They will help you climb mountains you never thought you could alone. I can't wait to see how far we can take this podcast and how far we can build this brand. You guys ready?
Damn straight.
Let's go.
Always ready.
Let's start with our games of the week. Brandon, what do you have for us?
Now we're ready. So, games of the week. First of all, let's just say that was absolutely beautiful words that you gave to us right there.
For I sure. appreciate
Couldn't
that.
have said it better.
It's from the heart, not the head.
Games of the week. Starting off early slate this Saturday, boys. Now that we are all unemployed, I'm sure we can get a good night's sleep because we have nothing to wake up for Saturday morning.
Yeah, but we're going to be up drinking all Friday night.
That is a great point. Great point. Because first game of the week we will mention is Arizona versus Kansas State. That is at Friday night at 8 p.m. So I know we'll all be up watching that. I think the quick line for that is Kansas State is favored by 7 points. Over under in that game, 60.5. I think Arizona, you can get it at plus 210 right now. Now, going on with the more important games of the week on our Saturday slate, we got a 12 o'clock game, another 12 o'clock game, and a 12:45 game. Starting us off at 12 o'clock, we got LSU, South Carolina. We got LSU minus 7, over under 48.5, and you can get South Carolina at plus 220. Moving on, we got Alabama versus Wisconsin. We got Alabama minus 16, over under 50.5. Not sure what you can get Wisconsin at right now, but it's probably along the lines of plus 220 like South Carolina is. Moving forward to 12:45, we have Missouri, Boston College. I think this is the game I'm most excited about. We got Missouri minus 16, over under is 53.5. We got Boston College plus 550. So pretty good slate for us. I know we got a handful of SEC teams in our game of the week, so I am more than excited for this weekend.
So let's just stay on games of the week. Which one we want to dive into first? Let's just have some color commentary on it. We'll go over our plays. We'll jot down our plays and then
Start
we'll
with
see
the
who wins in
Friday
the
one?
end. Start with
let's
the
just start
Friday
from the
one.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go Arizona.
So I
Kansas
guess
State.
we'll do 4. We'll just do 4 games of the week. We got plenty of time, guys. All the time in the world for the foreseeable future. So we'll start with Arizona, Kansas State. Will, go ahead and start us off with this one. Give me some data on that, some key points for you, and kind of where you're leaning for this.
I know we said last week we were going through our Heisman favorites, and both of my players are from Arizona. Noah Fafita, quarterback over there, he's a game breaker. He can do whatever he wants with the football in his hands or throwing it. And then the wide receiver, I can't say his first name. McMillan is his last name. Tetaroa, something like that.
There we go. Can we have a Nate attempt at that?
No.
That wasn't it. It didn't sound
that wasn't
like
an
that.
attempt.
We'll get to that later.
Nico.
Just go to.
But yeah, he arguably could be the best wide receiver in college football. So Kansas State will have their hands full with them, but Kansas State is arguably the best team overall. They got good play at quarterback. They got good play at receiver. Their offense is kind of consistent. And then even though they're in the Big 12, their defense is pretty good as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting game is what we're going to see. It's going to be Fafita and McMillan against Kansas State, the entire team.
Okay. So I was going to lean Kansas State initially. Got some key stats for you guys here. Against the spread, last 4 home openers, Kansas State is 4-0. So I thought that kind of went in their direction. They were also 6-1 against the spread at home in 2023. I loved both of those. I think myself am going to lean towards the over. As high as it is, I think I'm going to lean that direction. Arizona is 5-2 in their last 7 in hitting the over. Didn't have any data on them playing Kansas State on the road. But looking at the games earlier in the season, both teams score a couple of solid offenses. I do like Kansas State's defense a little bit better, which is why I was going to lean towards them covering the spread. But I'm hoping for some points. So what was the last time? What did you see points at the last time you looked at it?
60.5.
60.5. I think I bought down to 59, and I'm going to go over 59. It was a minus 145 value for me.
I like that because last week I had the Oklahoma State and Arkansas 61.5 over under. I think both of these teams have just as high caliber offense as well as a very low caliber defense, in my opinion. It's going to be a lot of points scored, going to be a lot of offense. That's just the style of these two teams. Sure. So 60.5 is pretty doable. I like it.
Good. Nate, what you got?
Yeah, so I'm sure we know like there's been some early season struggles from both these teams. We watched the game against K-State and Tulane, and we've also watched Arizona play a couple games. But at the end of the day, I think Arizona's got more potential for the bigger plays with the quarterback and the receiver room. But I'm just going to take Arizona even money for a touchdown right here to cover.
I like it. All right, so one more time going through it. Will, what did you have?
I was a little bit more conservative than Nate. As you guys know, I'm a big Arizona fan.
Yeah.
I went 7.5.
Okay.
I didn't want the push potential at minus 120.
That's pretty good. And then you had...
I'm going to go probably the over. I can see a easy 42-35 game here.
And I went the over. Yeah, I went the over as well.
Yeah. I just personally think Arizona could win this game outright, but I'm just going to be safe and play the cover on this.
I like that.
This game has OT written all over it.
That was the other thing I was thinking.
Yeah.
I really, it's almost going to be like touchdown for touchdown in a way. I do think it's going to be higher.
I think it'll be 35-35 going into OT.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so good potential for all of us to win, honestly. Which one do we want to do next, boys?
Say we go into Alabama versus Wisconsin. Getting Nate a little fired up a little bit.
Yeah, Nate, go ahead and start us off with this one since you got a stake in. You got a dog in the fight or a big old elephant in the fight.
Whatever.
I tied.
For the first time this season, we're looking at a healthy offensive line, and we kind of saw what happened last week against USF. They were more competitive than Western Kentucky, so I mean, can't really judge that game.
Did they get that right tackle out of there, or is he going to come back and play some more football?
As of right now, DeBoer reported that Pritchett and Proctor are on pace to play this weekend. He didn't guarantee it. The injury report's not released yet, to my knowledge, on my check today. But those two are on track to play, especially with our bye week next week. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to give Proctor practice before Georgia.
How many penalties did Thornby have last week?
Thornby, I don't know the exact number, but I know for sure he had at least 4 for himself, and a couple were called touchdowns.
Yeah, I was about to say 2 were touchdowns.
14 points off the board there.
Pritchett was actually, they were trying to save him from playing in that game because he did have a hurt ankle from Western Kentucky, and
was still more effective.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they put him in at right tackle. They scored 2 touchdowns right behind him and scored a third just because the momentum was right there. I will say we all did, when we were formerly employed, watch film on South Dakota and Wisconsin.
Yep.
Wisconsin does not have a good run defense. No. South Dakota ran them over. They were getting a lot of push on the line. So I think, especially if we got those 2 guys back, we'll just be able to wear them down and be able to just, especially Jam Miller, just run down the field on them. Last week, a lot of people do not realize this because it was such a close game, but Jam Miller had 140 rush yards. So keep note of that. Justice Haynes, great guy. I think he's got a chance at the next level, but Jam Miller's our guy right now. He's the one showing out right now. Milroe, I don't think he'll have too much of a problem against Wisconsin's defense, but I could see the only way Bama does not win this game or does not cover is if our O-line does struggle a little bit.
I'm here for it. I went ahead and I think the line's at 16 right now, and I see this game being somewhat slow towards the first, second quarter, as more so like a Georgia Clemson game was, kind of feel it out, and then just an onslaught of Alabama offense in the second half. I just think they'll be able to wear them down throughout the course of the game and then kind of open up the playbook in the second half. And I see an easy, probably 35-7 type game here. So
yeah, which I didn't say my pick. Sorry. I got Bama. I'm not going cover or money line, obviously, because that's a bad number. Right. I'm going Bama over 33.5 points.
Oh, I like that.
I
that's
like
good.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Good direction you took that. Will, what do you have on this?
I actually had the same thing. I was the one who pointed that play out to Beans. I had Bama over 33.5 points. I think it's really good. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to stop Bama at all. I think this game is going to be like 24-7, 21-0 going into halftime. Bama did not look good last week.
This is definitely one of those games that we could be excited for come like playoff time, because it's a matchup we probably don't get too often. But this is like, a team who gets a lot of praise in the conference that they're in, but, they don't really see the elite of the elite week in and week out. So I think this will be an eye-opener for a lot of people in college football.
And people can say what they want, but Van Dyke is not, a Byron Brown at all. Like, it's not even close.
He can't move.
Van Dyke might have better arm talent, but Byron Brown just runs people over.
And this is where I venture off and go against the grain, boys.
Oh, my God.
Now, if you remember from last episode, I am probably the one that is the most down bad.
Yeah, you went like 0 for 5, wasn't it?
You don't have to listen to me, okay? You don't have to listen. But I'm just going to leave you guys with this stat right here. In the last 5 years, in road openers, Alabama is 5-0. They are 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 years.
Bro, I'm telling you, I want to see the stats on this. How many times have Bama even covered?
So
That he gave.
yeah,
No,
0.
in general. I'm talking about at home, away. Like, how many do they even cover?
Yeah. But yeah,
I think I might have that for you, Beans. Give me a second.
because of that, while we're waiting, I am going to go, and there is no other factual data to back this up. Talent, matchups, positional matchups on the field. There is nothing else to back up this data. I just go by the numbers here. 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 years in every single road opener they have played. Plus 17, Wisconsin. They're going to cover at minus 135. You heard it here first.
To Beans' point, last year Alabama was 9-5 against the spread, 64.3%. I think 3 of those losses were against Texas, where they might have been favored at home last year.
Yeah.
Close game against Georgia in the playoffs, and then I lost to Michigan in overtime last year. So
Was Bama favored against Georgia last year?
I think they were slightly.
It was almost a pick 'em.
Yeah,
It was almost
like
a pick 'em.
51-49%.
I'll say
But either way, I don't know if they covered. So
The score of the game was actually really close to being what was predicted.
Fact check that. One of those games was definitely South Florida last year, because they almost lost, right?
Yeah,
Indeed
we
it
were
was.
up.
Yeah.
At
And it was like
halftime,
minus-
we were like tied 3-3.
Yeah, and it was probably like minus 31.
Was that their road opener?
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you. Yes,
They went to South
That
Florida?
was their road.
Yes.
They did.
Side
That was their
note:
road opener.
get South Florida off our schedule, please.
Or just get Tyler Buckner on the lacrosse.
So
team.
for
true.
you out there that does not know this, South Florida's head coach was the one, and I was at the game where Tennessee beat Alabama, but he was a coordinator in Tennessee's offense that dropped a 50 piece on us to give us our first loss to them in 17 years.
I like it.
So to recap, Nathan, you had
Over 33 and a
over
half
33
for
and a
Bama.
half. Will,
Same for me as well, over 33.5.
Brandon,
I think Alabama covering the points is at 16. I think I got it at 14 on the dot. So Alabama to cover.
Wisconsin plus 17 at minus 135. So I'm going to go against the grain. Let's go. We go LSU, South Carolina next.
Yep.
All right.
Love it.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Most favorite game of the week that I'm going to be watching.
That's why I picked you to talk about it first.
We have LSU minus 7. Over under 48.5. South Carolina is plus 220. Usually on our Thursday episodes, we do a lock of the week and a plus money play of the week. This is going to be my plus money play of the week with South Carolina winning at home against LSU. Now, reason I say that real quick, South Carolina's defensive line, I don't know if this is a credit to them or just how bad Kentucky's offensive line is, but last week they put on an absolute clinic. I think it's Dylan Stewart is their edge rusher, and he is a freshman who has ample amount of NFL first-round draft pick film on tape right now already. Only problem with that is LSU has 2 tackles on their offensive line that are also going to be professional athletes in the next few months. I know LSU played USC earlier in the year, so they've been tested a little bit. They lost that game, right? And South Carolina, I would say I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Old Dominion, they were tested against Old Dominion a little bit at home. Now, South Carolina's home field, I would say it's top 5 place to play. It gets forgotten about a little bit, but that place is an absolute zoo. It's going to be an absolute zoo come 12 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know if Nussmeier is up to that job. I know they got LSU, I want to say, is probably the most penalized team in the SEC right now. That's probably going to hurt them. It's just going to depend on what South Carolina's offense and Sellers can manage to muster up against a very bad LSU defense. So I think that helps them out in that aspect. Again, give me South Carolina money line at plus 220, plus money play of the week.
Oh, my word. That is going against the grain. I don't have, so I'll go. I love the boldness, though.
Oh, yeah.
I love the boldness. I don't have a ton more data than that. You pretty much covered a lot of what I was going to go over. A lot of mine is just kind of watching the tape, watching the teams. People are going to be a little higher on South Carolina because of what they did to Kentucky. And to me, it was almost like, I think it was more Kentucky being just not a good program as opposed to South Carolina. Like,
very fair.
They're not. I'm not saying South Carolina is bad, but I'm saying Kentucky was very bad.
Is horrible.
And so for me, it just wasn't. I think if they played a more competent opponent, I would be a little higher on South Carolina going in. I think to this point, based off the comp, just watching LSU compete against USC in week 1, like knowing what they can do, I think that's a solid program. So until it's almost like a South Carolina really has to prove it to me. So I'm going to go LSU covering their spread minus 5.5. So I'm a little conservative with that. It's minus 150 because I don't have a ton of data on it other than what I've watched.
So I think what I'm going to go is, as LSU's playing on our TV screen over there, LSU minus 6.5. I think this game can be a touchdown game and still be close. But I'm curious to see what Nate has on this one. But I have LSU minus 6.5 for because I think Nussmeier will be up to the task. And I think that South Carolina has, a good pass rush, but as you said, the tackles as well. I think Nussmeier will be able to get the ball out quickly and to be able to, kind of pick the secondary apart a little bit. Even if this game it's a 7-point game, it's still a close game.
That's what I'm saying.
6.5,
it can be one
still
touchdown.
close.
Yeah, and it's one
Still
score
close.
and they still cover.
Yeah.
I think this is LSU Brian Kelly hot seat if they lose here.
Potentially. Buyout's huge. So we'll see there.
True.
We'll see there. I'm about to just go Lee Corso on you and tell you the 3 simple notes I have and then my pick, okay?
You're going to put the hat on? I'm gonna put the...
Listen. First, a bad South Carolina offense can still score on a bad defense. Number 1.
Fair.
Bad offenses can still score on bad defenses. As we said before, I mean, defense in college football is irrelevant now, essentially. Especially, with all the things going on. Spread is now out there. Quarterbacks are elite.
A team scored 86
South
points
Alabama
tonight?
scored 87, yeah.
87, sorry.
Yeah. Number 2, South Carolina's defensive front needs to put pressure on Nussmeier. If that happens, LSU's scrambling. Number 3, I'm going to touch on what Brandon said here, and it's very simple. And South Carolina proved this when they beat Hendon Hooker in Tennessee a couple years back. Even with a struggling team, William Bryce is a tough place to play. So with that being said, give me South Carolina money line.
Love it. Love it.
2 people with oh my. So Will, you had
LSU minus 6.5.
so you had the cover, and I had a less aggressive cover. I could minus 6.5 is super fair. So like, I think it was just because I had less data than I wanted, so I wanted to make sure I had a conservative pick for this one because I kind of went off on the Wisconsin one.
And this is still big for both teams because now that there's no East and West in the SEC, any SEC game matters more so than ever. I mean,
True.
South Carolina could go into this game in years past and have lost it, and it not really meant much as far as them making it to the SEC championship. Now this is still a must-win for both teams, I think.
I mean, Beamer's fighting for his job. He's fighting for his job
Exactly.
right now. I mean, Brian Kelly, I wouldn't say he's fighting for his job, but he's fighting for a reputation with the LSU fan base because, they're tough.
Facts.
They're tough. They'll boot somebody as quick as they can.
All he has is a fake accent.
All right, so we'll go into our last game of the week. We got 4 this week. This is going to be Boston College and Missouri, correct?
Correct.
Brandon, start us off. I'm going to go second this time.
So this is a tough game for me as far as both teams I think are I would say Boston College is probably better than expected this year. Missouri, way too much talent to be a bad football team.
They're as good as I expected, I think.
So the spread for this game I think is at 16 now. I'm going to go ahead and say Boston College. I took them at plus 17.5 just because I think they've been tested a little bit with Florida State already. This game is at Missouri, but it is a little bit scary because I will say Missouri has not put a lot on tape. They have not had any sort of competition they've played against in the last 2 weeks. This will be their 3rd week in a row playing at home. I think this is the week that Luther Burden, probably the best receiver in the NCAA, I think this is the week that they absolutely unleash the playbook for plays for him. Now, with that being said, I saw a stat the other day. Brady Cook is one of 5 quarterbacks in the entire NCAA that either has 1 or less passing touchdown right now. As far as we've seen through week 2, he has 1 passing touchdown right now in 2 games. Now, with that being said, they haven't had to do much, but there have been a few deep balls that Brady Cook has missed on, Luther Burden deep ball plays and stuff like that. And the other thing is Missouri's linebackers are probably top 5 in the SEC, so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of contain Castellanos and his run game. I still think Boston College puts up a great fight. Give me Boston College plus 17.5.
I love that pick, and that would have been my second pick. I might still do it on the side, to be honest. To me, this is something's got to give kind of game. Like you said, Missouri hasn't really been tested yet. They also haven't given up a point, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they've given up 0 points. Now, the comp they've played is obviously not. I think Boston College is a little bit different of a caliber of opponent than what they faced previously. But it can't be understated that Missouri's defense is not to be trifled with. That being said, Boston College has already been tested this season and have passed with flying colors.
Yeah.
And I can say that without, there's no doubt in it. There's no doubt about it. They passed that test with flying colors, already tested their week 1 and showed us they're a team to be considered for the, I don't know if they're a playoff team. I don't know. But I do know they are well coached. I think O'Brien's got those boys bought in. And I think they're excited for this game. Like I really think they're looking for this type of challenge. There's not a ton of data with Boston College going against Missouri. It's not like they play each other all the time. But for me, one of the things that stuck out to me, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Missouri's averaging over 6 yards a carry. Boston College has allowed 1.3 yards per carry.
Ooh.
Okay, so again, it's a something's got to give, right? So I'm excited to see. We already know Missouri's defense is good. You know, I don't care who they played. Like, you give up 0 points to college opponents, like, you have a solid defense. I don't care who
For
you
sure.
are. That being said, Boston College gave up 14 or 13 to FSU and 0 to Duquesne, who they played the week after. Obviously, you're not going to give up that many points to Duquesne. But this is two really solid defenses going at it. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game. I'm actually going to give a score pick.
Okay.
Missouri 21, Boston College 13, which would be under the betting line of 54 at minus 110. So I'm going to go under the point total minus 110.
Smart pick.
Go ahead, Will.
I'm a believer of Boston College this year.
I love that because I am too. I am too, man.
Missouri is very good, and their defense is very good, and Luther Burden might be the best wide receiver in the country, along with McMillan. But I think 15.5 is a lot.
Exactly.
Missouri could win by 2 touchdowns and they still cover. This is a top 25 team that that Missouri's playing. So anytime I get Missouri is ranked in the top 10, and Boston College is just top 25. But anytime I can get a top 25 at plus 15.5, I'm going to take it. So I took Boston College plus 15.5 minus 110.
I love the cover in this too. I love the cover as well. So I think you guys are both onto something.
And I mean, at 17.5 where I got it, I think it's still minus 120. I mean, simple math here. That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and they still cover that.
There's
So
only 4 quarters. Yeah, it's gonna be
Exactly.
tough to do that. If it goes the way I think, and neither team scores, at will, I think winning by 17 is going to be tough, or more than 17 is going to be tough. Nate, what do you have on this one?
So I'm going off the rails completely opposite of you guys.
I love that. I did that earlier.
Has nothing to do with Bill O'Brien's previous experience at Alabama at all. But
Really?
3 simple notes here. I'll go again. 3 simple notes, and I'll
Okay,
read them
Lee.
exactly as I have them. Mizzou has one of, if not the best receivers in college football. Agreed.
agreed.
I am not sure if Boston College's defensive line can get to Brady Cook. Mizzou would wipe the floor with FSU.
Good point.
Yes.
So did Boston College, though, kind
They,
of.
they beat them by 2 scores, right?
Yeah, they pulled away late. So what I'm going to take in this game, just because it's at the zoo, and I think Mizzou is just way more talented, I'm taking them minus 14.5. I think there's going to be a late touchdown scored to make that cover. And like I said, it has nothing to do with Bill O'Brien. But
Nothing at all.
I think that train is ended here.
I, for a minute, thought about taking Boston College money line at plus 550.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
I think we can look at things how we want to, right?
We can.
When they played against Florida State, like we all know, they have a bunch of transfers. None of them play together. I mean, half of them don't even know each other. But Brady Cook and Luther Burden, they've been together for a couple years now. Like they're connected on every level. I think at the end of the day, that offense is going to be too much for Boston College to handle. Size up front is very different. I just think this is going to be a late game pull away from Mizzou.
Now, something to think about here. To me, this is almost a trap game for Missouri.
Could be.
They
Thought
have
about that too.
They have one of the easiest schedules in college football. Boston College is not supposed to be a playoff team this year by any means. I don't think any of the guys in the locker room would tell you that. But I think Missouri could fall asleep early in this 12:45 kickoff time, and Boston College is coming in there ready and hungry to prove prove everybody wrong and make a statement here. So there's something to look for. Something to look for.
And I'm not saying Missouri is a tough place to play. Like, obviously, it's a home game. They got the advantage. I mean, they can't fill half the end zone because they got rocks in the stadium. But at the end of the day, like I still think Mizzou's just a more talented team by a long shot here.
Weird things happen in the Zoo, though. Georgia almost lost to the Zoo maybe last year.
Yeah.
I think they won by 3 points into the game. So
And LSU even snuck away.
weird things happen in Mizzou.
All right, so final recap here. Before we move on to individual plays, Boston College and Missouri, I have the under 54. Brandon and Will have the Boston College cover, and Nathan has Mizzou covering the spread. Correct?
I actually bought it down to 14.5.
Bought it down to 14.5.
Yeah.
Pansy.
See, that's one more thing to be said real quick. I think anytime you find an alternate line that's like 2.5 points away, there's something to be said where that could get a little risky because there's something in your head telling you that
Do you believe?
it
I
might
don't
be
know if you
closer
do.
than you think.
Are you guys ready to move on to individual plays?
See,
Yeah.
All right. Brandon, I will let you go first this time for your SEC plays of the week.
All right, I'll try to make this quicker rather than longer. First pick, we're going with the best team in the country, the Dogs. They play Kentucky. I believe this is a 7:30 game. Don't know why college football keeps doing this where we have our games of the week. They're all at noon. And then we have a UGA Kentucky absolute slaughtering going on at prime time. So this game, I mean, it was tough because I don't know if I'm a huge fan of Georgia covering the spread because sometimes when they walk into games, they know they're going to win easy. They don't put a lot on tape. They don't open the playbook. They win the game easily, but it's not by what the books say the spread's going to be. Over-under is going to be a little tricky. Probably taking the under. I think it's at 48 or 50 something, right on the dot at 50 maybe. But it is supposed to rain in Lexington. I'm going with Kentucky to score under 10.5 points in the football game.
Ooh.
After what I saw last week against South Carolina, not being able to move the football, Vandegrift only throwing for 30 yards, there's no way you're going to take that team against an even more elite defense than Georgia and expect them to score more points than they did last week, obviously. Last 4 years, Kentucky scores against Georgia 0, 13, 6, and 13. I know we had 2 above the 10.5 line there, but I think this Georgia defense is going to be even better than the 2 years they won the national championship. Ooh. So I'm taking Kentucky under 10.5 points scored in the entire game.
That is just egregiously low.
And they're going after their boy Vandegrift over there.
Oh, yeah. And to make it worse, Kentucky likes to run the pro style. They like to run the football. It's going to be a rainy day out there, so they're probably not going to be able to pass it a lot anyway. Georgia can just run, commit, and there's no way the offensive line over there, from what we saw last week, is stopping anybody on Georgia's defensive side of the football.
So how much do you think Georgia scored?
Like I said, it's going to be a little rainy. Georgia doesn't like to put a lot on tape, especially with a bye week after this and having to play Bama the next week after. I think in Georgia gets into that 35 range-ish.
So
probably pump the brakes.
blowout.
Yeah, it's going to be an
yeah.
absolute blowout.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how much they're going to score.
What was the spread at?
It was at Georgia. I didn't even write it down because I wasn't even taking it. I think it's like Georgia minus 21.
I mean, South Carolina made that offense look bad. Imagine what Georgia's going to do. This man Vandegrift's about to have negative 40 rush yards.
Pivoting to my pick, my second pick of the week, I'm going Vandy. The train is hot in Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. They do play at Georgia State this week. Give me Vandy minus 9. I think the absolute tide is turning in Nashville when it comes to the Vanderbilt football team. I think there's a lot of hype surrounding it, and I think they go into Georgia State after Georgia State just got beat down by Georgia Tech a few weeks ago a little bit. I think there's no hope for them.
Points.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Vandy minus 9. I'm hopping on the Vandy train. Pavia, I like him. I think he's got potential to be better than expected for that team over there. So I'm excited for that one. Never thought I'd say that about a Vanderbilt football game, but it'll be interesting to watch. Last pick of mine that I have is Texas A&M versus Florida. I actually have Florida to score under 21.5 points in the football game.
It's a great
I like
pick.
that.
So my notes here, we're going to keep it real simple. Florida defense, bad. Texas A&M defense, good. Florida offense, bad. Texas A&M offense, okay. So I'm not thinking that Florida scores 3 touchdowns or more in this football game, especially off Graham Mertz being injured a little bit in the last game, stuff like that. The over/under is 47.5. I could easily see this being an over, seeing that Texas A&M doesn't have many weapons that they've shown on offense yet. I don't know if Weigman is the guy. I mean, he's good. He's a good quarterback. I just don't know if he has many guys to throw to. But I have not seen anything good come from Texas A&M's Florida's offense, and I think they lay down late in this football game. So I'm going Florida under 21.5. Those are my plays of the week.
All right, fellas, I'll go ahead and go next with my ACC plays of the week. We're going to start with Florida State and Memphis. All right, I'm going to give you guys a few stats here. I'm going to try and keep these brief as well. Memphis, since I don't know what the year is, but it's been a long time because there's a lot of games on here. Since whatever year, they are 9-28 straight up and 13-21 against the spread versus any Power 5 school. All right, so they already don't have good numbers against Power 5s. That includes a loss last year. Florida State, since 2019, is 5-1 against the spread versus FBS not in their conference. I think, going away from the facts, Florida State, they had a bye week. They had an extra however many days to prepare. This is like, it has to be this or it doesn't happen at all. They have to make a statement win over this team, or else this season is chalked and there might be some careers that are chalked. So I've got it. This is the week. Florida State covering -6. I'm only going 6 for -150 because I am still fearful because I don't trust them yet. But -6 against Memphis for Florida State.
I think that's a risky pick because I think they could do it. But do you want to be that guy that bets on Florida State -6 and loses?
No. I don't want to be the guy that loses, but I am used to it.
So they got it locked down. They were practicing with water guns at practice and everything.
I saw the film. I saw the film.
Hey,
they're
now,
prepared for the rain.
Memphis is one of those teams that, they could sneak into a playoff. So I think they still have a lot to play for. I think they come out hot.
They're gonna go for it. I think it should be closely contested for a while. I'm just hoping the talent wins out in the end. Like I said, the rest advantage is a real thing, and Florida State does have like a 10-day rest advantage.
True.
When you have that much time to prep for, after a bye week, and the other team had to play, a few days earlier, that does have an impact. So I think that, to me, that's more of the difference maker than anything else in this game.
If this game is close at halftime, do we see Brock Glenn come out in the second half?
I hope so. I can only watch
so much of bad quarterback play.
I can only watch so much.
We can get into that a little later.
Yeah. So my second one, this is going to be my plus money. That's my lock of the week. The first one, that's my lock.
Wow.
I got a lot of rest advantage. Just remember the words rest advantage. My plus money play of the week is going to be Pittsburgh versus West Virginia. I watched Pittsburgh last week from first snap to last snap. I have to be a believer in Eli Holstein. I think he's a young quarterback, but I think that's a talented quarterback. West Virginia's defense is it's not much better than Cincinnati. So, Holstein can do that against Cincinnati on the road. I feel like he can do that against West Virginia at home. So I'm going to go. The other thing, the last 4 times these teams have played, the home team has won. And Pittsburgh is now the home team. They're at plus money value, plus 115 last I looked. So I'm going to go ahead. My plus money play is going to be the Pittsburgh money line upset win over West Virginia.
Love it.
My last one, we're going to do Virginia and Maryland. The last 4 times these teams have played each other, the over hit the last 4 times. Virginia also scored 31 points last week against Wake Forest. Maryland does have another defense that's they got some holes in the defense. They give up a lot on the pass. Their run defense it's okay. But we've seen Virginia can throw the ball. And I also saw Virginia give up 30 points to Wake Forest. Say what you will about their offense. I love their offense, but it's not necessarily like they're
slow mesh.
Yeah, they're slow mesh. They're not guaranteed to score points, but they did against Virginia. So I feel like Maryland can probably score some points against Virginia too. I'm going to go – I don't know who's going to win this game, but I'm going to go over 53. I thought that line was actually kind of low for a couple of teams that have already scored 30-plus points in a game. So over 53 for minus 130. That's my last pick of my 3. We're going to move on to Will. So go ahead and go.
So my first one, Michigan did not look good last week, but I think this is a bounce back week for them. Playing Arkansas State, so it's not like it's a big game or anything. But I think they can win by 24. Arkansas State should not score more than 10 points.
10.
Yeah. Fair.
If I can get Michigan to score 34 or 35, they should be able to do that. So I have Michigan minus 23.5, minus 115. I think that's a solid value play for kind of a get-back game for Michigan. Next one, Oregon has been playing some close games recently. I don't like it, but I think they can score. They play Oregon State this week. I don't like Oregon State, but I think they can score.
They can score.
So I got over 50 in that one.
Oh, it's only 50? Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Wow. Somehow.
I love that.
Somehow. Minus 110. Oregon just played a 37-34 game against
Is that the
Boise.
lock?
Dude, there's got
Is
to
that the
be.
lock?
That's the lock.
There's got to be.
That sounds like a lock.
Shout
the
out
lock.
Weather Girl. We got to figure out if there's some bad weather coming into that game because there's no way that over-under's 50 at minus 110.
I think Oregon could score 45.
Yeah.
It could be like a
I love this.
45-41 game.
This might be
something like
another
that.
one of those
That's
games
free.
where that team can cover that by themselves.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Put that
So-
in right now.
Yeah, that
Right
one's free,
now.
fellas.
Yeah. And then to my plus money play of the week, I loved Illinois minus 18.5, but I can buy it up to 20. Plus, it's a even money plus 100. So I got Illinois minus 20 at plus 100 for the plus money play of the week. But I think if you really want to have good value but still playing a little bit safe, minus 18.5 is your best bet. But Illinois minus 20. Max Brosmer's looked really good. So I think that's your best bet.
Fighting Illini are hot.
Just beat Kansas, ranked team, coming off a good win. I had them plus 5.5 last week. Should have took money line.
Yeah, left some on the table.
But yeah, I think now are they a playoff team? No. But the Illini are the truth this year.
The truth. All right, Nate, what you got?
Y'all ready for these?
I don't
Couldn't
know.
be more ready for
Not
these.
really.
Just to let everybody know, these picks were made before the drinks were flowing. I actually
Thank
talked to
God.
these guys about these picks earlier this week. I'm just gonna start off with my normal pick. I'll save my lock and plus money for last. I'm gonna take East Carolina money line at even over App State. Now, this is also saying I know Jake Garcia threw 7 picks in his last 2 games. We discussed that.
Yeesh.
But with that being said, App State just got the brakes beat off them, and I just think they don't have the mental capability to hang in this game.
It can't
Like,
get
it's just-
worse
I mean-
for Jake Garcia,
No,
right?
no, but I told y'all I will be on the East Carolina train until they prove me wrong, no matter how many picks this man throws.
Averaging 3.5, and they're still 2-0.
Like, if you strike out 10 out of 10 times, you got to go up there the next at bat and say, it can't get
For
any
sure.
worse.
And I will
right?
say, East Carolina is averaging only giving up 8.5 points per game on defense. So this is
okay.
one of those games, as long as they play good defense, I think they obviously can score more. So
I mean, their only choice is to play good defense.
now I will say this
they
game
probably practice that, playing good
We
defense.
know he's going to throw a pick. Let's just
now
get in
last
the red zone formation.
now with that being said, the offense has actually improved since last year. So
They proved it.
So-
It did what? It did what?
it's improved.
He's completing
So-
passes. you
So
know?
They're not
just-
hitting the ground.
Right. They're not incomplete.
hitting other
So
people.
just to give y'all a little advice on this line did start out at like plus 115 for the East Carolina money line, and it's now moved to even. So there's a lot of money going towards East Carolina in this game.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. So
Nate,
now
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can. I'm going to watch you and live vicariously through you on that one.
Oh, I'm doing it. I told you. I'm on
gonna
the pirate.
root for
I'm on
you.
the Pirates train this
I'm
year,
going to
man.
root for you from the sidelines.
I'm
over there,
on the
bro.
Pirates
Dude,
train this year,
I
man.
watched App State. He might be onto something, but also 7 picks in 2 games.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, East Carolina's a little hot right now, except Jake Garcia. And then App State just
most
got
important
their
guy on the field.
heads buried in Death Valley out in South Carolina.
True.
Cam had
So-
them cover last week, so I'm taking the other team, East Carolina.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Right. Good decision.
So I'm just going to move on. With that being said, East Carolina money line there at even. My plus money play of the week. Now this one,
Give it to me.
Brandon, you know where I'm going with this, man. Give me the North Texas Mean Green money line over the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Listen to this value here.
Plus, it's gotten better. Plus 315. If you think that's better, if you're going with me for sure, it's actually went the other
I've
way.
already put it in.
Plus
I'm
315.
convinced.
Chandler Morris has an arm on him.
We did watch the tape.
Go.
Now,
He should
I'll-
be at Florida State right now.
I'll kind of say this.
Transfer portal.
I'll kind of say the same thing I did about the South Alabama game last week. So Texas Tech's defense is actually giving up 310 passing yards per game and 44 points per game in total. So if this becomes another running match, North Texas is going to win this game.
love
Chandler Morris is good, guys. Don't
And-
care what you say.
Nate had me watch probably 30 minutes of film on this
We
dude.
did watch the film.
I'm convinced.
No, defense.
Absolute cannon.
Defense sucks. I'll say that up front.
No.
Defense sucks.
Oh, just be said too, I did after watching the film on Chandler Morris and the Mean Green, I actually started a dynasty on NCAA with the Mean Green.
That's how inspiring his play was.
Since I don't work tomorrow, I will be doing that all day. All day.
I could probably join you too because I don't have work tomorrow either. So,
Y'all just all want to play.
Let's party up.
Y'all just all want to play together.
is it a holiday or? Oh no, never mind.
a long
we just got
weekend.
fired.
No, but for real though, Texas Tech is an offense, or sorry, North Texas is an offense nobody wants to see right now, guys. Like I think they're going to score a lot of points. Now my lock of the week is I hate to do this to my Crimson Tide, but the South Florida Bulls are my lock of the week at minus 12.5 against the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss.
Okay. They did play well.
Yeah, they showed a lot.
Byron Brown, I think, is a absolute force.
He's a beast.
Dude's a monster.
How big is like that? That dude is.
So
He's
they,
like
they,
240,
they
right?
said they did say he put over 20 pounds on in the offseason.
I believe every bit of it.
And I'll be honest with you, and I'll sit here and shoot you straight. I'm a Bama fan. If that dude completes a few of those passes that he missed where guys were wide open and busted coverages, I mean, that's a lot closer game. And potentially they could have won. They could have put it away. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is. But South Florida last year, after the Bama game, they came out and dropped 42 on Rice. And to be honest with you, this is a better South Florida team than last year, and Southern Miss is bad. They're bad. Yeah, there was no hope for them in that Kentucky game, and it was even cut short. So give me South Florida minus 12.5, and that is actually at even. So you can nearby get that at plus money
Got
also.
a couple plus money plays. Look at you.
Okay.
Also,
Um,
side note: the first party foul of the night was committed by none other than the professor Will Giles.
That's my bad.
Good thing my wife's asleep.
Cleaned it up. We're all good.
But yeah, man, that's it for me. I got 2 even plays and a plus 315. I'm ready to make some money this weekend.
All right, so
Yes, sir.
those are the individual plays.
We got to make some money somehow, huh?
Yeah, this is it's just got a whole lot more dire, boys. Like, we have no choice but to succeed. So that's the end of the individual plays. I think we'll do a quick segment of baked beans, and then we will get out of here.
Yep. Love it.
All right, so we will kick it over to Nate. Give us like 2 or 3 topics, and then we'll hit the road.
Yeah, for sure, man. I got 2 topics I think we'd be excited to talk about. First off, I just want to ask y'all, do you think DJ Who's performance this weekend is going to determine his future at Florida
say
State?
DJ Who?
I did.
Absolutely.
Do you think
Yes.
it has to be elite to be the starting quarterback going forward, or do you think there's still some room for error?
No, this is it.
Yeah.
And I've been watching every ACC. This is it for DJ Who. I love that. And I was saying that in general, like this is the game. Like this is where they have to decide what kind of team they're going to be. Because if they don't decide here, it's too late. Like that's the end of the season.
Right.
Like they can continue to play the games, but they're going to be meaningless. Like I guess you can go bowling, but If you're a team like Florida State that was, you just got bounced from the top 4 last year, you had all of the incentive to have the year of your lives, and this is how you start the season. This is it. There is no other choice, and it starts with him. If he doesn't perform, I think you need to see you got to see a quarterback change. B, if you don't, after the end of the game, that's got to be the end of his tenure as a starting quarterback.
I mean, what if they lose this game? What if they so happen to lose this game?
They're toast.
Then you gotta let's give the ball to the next guy. You have nothing to lose.
Correct.
Let's see if someone else can get in there and do a better job and create some momentum.
If this season's going the way it's going, I'm excited to see if Norvell still sticks with a transfer portal or if he starts to recruit more freshmen.
A part of me was like he didn't have that much of a choice because of how much he lost. You got to think of all the All-Americans that left, the first team All ACCs that left. He lost a ton of guys. And so I think, the transfer portal is the easiest, especially if you have mass exodus. If you got a lot of guys that leave, you're going to want people that are ready. And so you're going to look first at the transfer portal. And I think he was correct in doing that. But I think you rely on, at that point, you have the spring for them to gel. And you leave yourself open to okay, well, what if they don't? Well,
yeah.
You also screwed yourself on, recruiting guys at the high school level and being able to develop them on your own. So, if you do that wrong and you have a bad year, it's not just that year that's effective. It could be the next 2 because you didn't do a good job recruiting at the high school level.
Yeah.
And that also puts a probably immense amount of pressure on the guy that has to step in after DJU.
Yeah.
As far as you have to perform at that point. You know what I mean? There's no other option.
Yeah. So just a quick around the table real quick. Do you think this is DJU's last chance to keep the starting job? Cam?
If they're smart, yes.
Brandon?
Absolutely.
Will?
For some odd reason, they got him in the transfer portal. This was Norvell's guy. For no reason whatsoever. For no reason. But for some odd reason, I feel like even if he doesn't play well, but they win the game, he stays.
If they win, it's a little bit forgiven. If they win the game, he probably gets another chance. If they lose, I can't see it.
He has to go if they lose, but I'm not 100% sold he does.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of I don't like to bring this comparison up much, but it's like when Stetson Bennett started playing quarterback at Georgia. The guy might not be that great, right? He might not be the most elite we've ever seen, but they just kept winning football games. I think he's the best we've ever seen ever. Best quarterback in history. Tom Brady, who? But
crazy.
They just,
Crazy.
you got a guy that wins you football games, you got to leave him out there. So
Yeah, and just a fun fact for y'all. I know we talked a little bit about this the other day. He was in the same class as Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and you see where they're at right now. So, but we're just gonna move on real quick. This next one is actually breaking news that came out today. It is going to be the new Pac whatever conference. Pac-12, Pac-5, Pac-8, don't know.
Pac-6.
But
Let's get a 6-pack.
It is going to be the new conference. And I'm just going to name the teams that are moving over to join Oregon State and Washington State. And I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on, does this kind of hurt Oregon State and Washington State's playoff chances, not playing that full Mountain West schedule this year or whatever, things like that. So it was reported today that Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State is leaving the Mountain West to join Oregon State and Washington State. Now, does that put them on a bigger platform to potentially get that bid as a conference champion to a playoff, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think adding Boise State has some merit. That's a team with a little bit of a track record. They've got some history of success. How often has Colorado State or Fresno State or San Diego State, for that matter, how often have they been relevant in the last 10 to 15 years is kind of my question.
This will make them somewhat relevant because it matters more now.
Yeah.
And
Colorado State and Fresno State occasionally.
Yeah.
It's not like they're this staple group of 5 school every year, but they will have a year where they're 10-2, 9-3, something like that.
Yeah.
But make a little noise here and there.
Yeah, I don't know how much it, it's what, 6 teams now, if that goes through. So how much does that move the needle at this point is kind of, I think it's a good start is probably
more money, bigger conference.
Yeah, I think it's a good start. But I think it used to be the Pac-12 guys. Like
Right.
there's half the amount of teams if that happens. So it's like you got to have 6 more that come in, and they've got to be fairly reputable programs for it to be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a legitimate Power 5 again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a Wyoming's going over or something like that.
It'll be interesting to see what they do as far as playoff stuff goes down, because if you do have 5 power conferences like that, are they going to have 5 conference championship winners make it to the playoff? Are we going to keep it at 4? How are we going to do that? So it'll be interesting to see where that kind of goes in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, to just keeping if they will be the Power 5. I mean, only 4 teams get a bye. Like, say,
Right. Best team in the country.
If the Pac-12, maybe they get an auto bid, but they're playing week 1 of the college football playoff no matter what.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, I mean, just to wrap that little part up, at the end of the day, I think it's just so some of these smaller schools can get more financial support and even have a chance to make the college football playoff. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we know the rules right now. Like, one group of 5 team gets an automatic bid, right?
Right.
But then moving over to the conference, if they can ever recruit with Washington State, Oregon State, somebody like Boise or Fresno does have a chance. So I think it's a good move by those schools.
I think it's a good start.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there should be more. If
Yeah.
they really want to move the needle and make a difference, it can't end there. There has to be more.
I
Correct.
don't think this is the end.
I wouldn't think so either, but just
No.
for right now, it's like I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy that it's that they're getting the ball rolling on.
Yeah. Now the big question is what happens to the Mountain West, but we'll see as time goes on.
I think NCAA as a whole would rather have the Mountain West kind of die out than the Pac-12.
Yeah, if you're gonna, if you have to pick,
yeah.
you have to pick between
Right.
the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. Like that's not even a decision. To
It
me.
comes down to one simple thing: TV rights.
True.
Two, and money.
Yeah.
So
It's always about money.
Let's go. Do you have one more, or how much time do we have?
Probably like 3 minutes max.
Let's go one more.
Is there
If you
anything
can-
else?
If you can rapid fire it, if you've got one more.
Like quick yes or no's.
Yeah.
okay, so does I'll go back to what we said earlier. If Brian Kelly wins less than 8 games this year, is he on the hot seat? Yes or no? Quick.
Yes.
Yes.
No, strictly because of the buyout.
It is expensive.
so
Do you
much
remember
money.
the number?
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. You can fact check me on this, but I do believe it's over $60 million.
It's
a lot of
so expensive.
What's his? How many years?
I want to say he's through like 2030. It's
Yeah.
a ton.
Him and
These-
Mark Stoops are about the same, but Mark
yeah,
Stoops has a
Stoops.
significantly lower buyout.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. If he loses, people are going to be calling for his head, like the fade god Josh Turner does himself.
True.
But
Might be deserved.
I think literally just because they cannot afford it, they will
Good.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, just quick shout out. Good luck to fade guy Josh Turner.
Yeah, he's got to hold it down over there.
A lot on his plate right now.
We'll see.
Hey, one more quick one for fun right here with Will. Billy Napier, if he loses this weekend, is he fired? Yes. No.
By the end of the year, yes.
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 Not this week.
By the end of the year, yes.
If I were Napier, I would want to get fired
Yeah,
because their
it's time.
schedule
It's
only
time.
gets harder.
I would resign immediately.
But if he resigns, he doesn't get the buyout. I
Dude's
want
got
that
plenty
buyout.
of money. Dude stole
he's
plenty of
already
money.
fine.
He stole
He's
plenty of
set.
money from Florida.
I wish we had a buyout.
He ripped them all.
He's something.
Napier ripped that school off. All right, yeah. So Cam or Brandon, I'm gonna kick it back to y'all, and y'all can close this out.
All right. All right. So I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. We're about out of time anyways.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to be watching the games all weekend. So we'll be ready to report how everything went sometime early next week.
Somewhere.
We've got it. Yeah, we don't know. We might be back at Asgard Studios. We might find another spot. We will let you know.
Maybe in Havana or something.
Yeah.
Havana.
But the train's going to keep rolling regardless of the adversity we face. I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate all the listeners and the followers that we've accumulated over this short amount of time. I'm excited to see where we go. I'm excited to keep this train rolling. Thank you to everyone, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Peace.